everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video segment every single morning to help you catch up on what it is you may have missed out on, or you were getting up on some all important rest. Because whilst you may need sleep and may need sleep, the world of sport is something that doesn't really rest. I mean, there's always something going on. So it's very, very easy to miss out on a few things that may have happened. And that precisely is the purpose of this particular video. Now, one of the things that a lot of people have been going on about is the fact that the first T20I between India and South Africa, which is of course washed out due to rain, is the fact that why exactly is it that there were no precautions taken in the first place to ensure that, whether the scheduling could be better or you were covering the ground. Sunil Gavaskar has spoken out and said that, it's very surprising that the ground wasn't fully covered and you only had certain parts of the pitch and other parts of the ground that were actually covered. But that is a debate for another time. The simple fact of the matter is, though, if you were someone like me who was really looking forward to seeing India's young guns in action, well, then you may be in for a little bit of disappointment. Why is that? Because, well, there is a bit of a rain threat looming over the second T20I at Gaberha as well. Now, that does sound like terrible news, but the weather reports which we are seeing so far on websites like AccuWeather and even other sources do suggest that there is a 60% chance of rain in the evening time. That is 60% chance, by the way. It doesn't mean that it doesn't assess the probability. It means the area where, so say for instance, if we're looking at the weather of New Delhi and it says 60% chance of rain, that means 60% of the New Delhi area, any 60%, could potentially be hit with rains. The same is the case at Gaberha. It's not looking good as far as getting even the second T20I of the series is concerned, which is a bit of a shame because again, it is vital preparation for both teams. Remember, India only playing 6 T20Is before the World Cup. In fact, they were only left with 6. Now they're left with 5. Potentially could only be left with 4, assuming this particular match is affected or impacted by rain as well, which is not really the best of things. It's not ideal, neither for India nor for South Africa, but I mean, that is just the way things are. Speaking of Indian cricket, one of the things that was spoken about a lot was the fact that England, who will be touring India in about a month and a half, have already announced their squad for the 5-match test series. Now, going into that, obviously plenty of excitement. You've got Bazball up against India in what will be pretty clearly spinning conditions. Even England know that. That's why they have not even 5 spin options if you include a Joe Root. But there has been a warning that has come their way from former England captain Michael Vaughan, who says that, look, if you're not careful, if you don't actually look to temper your aggression just a little bit, you may very well be absolutely destroyed by India. And the reason he gave was very simple. He said, look at how England played or England fared against Nathan Lyon, a top quality off spinner in England. He was only one spinner, saying in India you'll be up against 2 or 3 spinners in conditions that are going to assist them. So if you're not careful, you could very well be destroyed. And I do happen to agree with his assessment in this particular instance, because again, in playing baseball is one thing, or playing aggressive attacking cricket, but in India, you more often than not don't even get good batting or decent batting conditions. Never mind good batting conditions. You're gonna get pitches that turn square from day one. Will that approach work? We don't really know. In fact, as Vaughan said, potentially if you are stubborn and stuck to that approach, you may very well find yourself being absolutely destroyed. Another person who made news in that England squad for his non-selection was Chris Woakes. But if you're looking at Chris Woakes' average with the ball, whether it be home test and away test, doesn't make his exclusion makes his exclusion that less surprising, because he's someone who averages about 21 with the ball at home. But if you look at his away average, it's about 50, which is not very good. And Woakes himself has spoken out recently. He said, after the squad was named, he said, look, I can understand the rationale and where it is that the selectors are coming from, because quite frankly, someone my age and with my record, whether it be at home and away, I'm okay, not being picked. And he has been given assurances that he'll be picked or will be considered for selection once the home leg of England's tests begin, which does make sense considering he's a pretty formidable option when it comes to home conditions. But away, he's not really had that much success, particularly in the subcontinent where he has struggled a lot. So doesn't make sense, or didn't make sense for them to include him. They have in fact gone for extra spin options. Switching our focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and if you are someone who is a fan of the Messi Ronaldo rivalry, well, get ready because you have a chance to see it take place once again come February 1st. February 1st, 2024, mark your calendars. It is going to be Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr versus Lionel Messi's Inter Miami. Inter Miami announced that they would be flying out to Saudi Arabia to play, they're going to be playing tournament which includes them as well as two other Saudi Arabian teams, and those teams are Al Nassr and also interestingly Al Hilal, who would also be giving Messi a reunion of sorts, because Al Hilal just so happened to be the club where Neymar plays. Although whether Neymar would be available really is anyone's guess, because of course he'd had that major injury and he was reportedly set to be out for about 6 months. So it seems unlikely, but he could very well be there just to meet up with Messi, catch up, say hello, how are you, and what not. Speaking of course, Ronaldo versus Messi. Ronaldo, by the way, made a little bit of history when during the Kings Cup win over Al Shabab, he ended up scoring another goal, and that goal ended up making ensuring that his goal tally for the calendar year of 2023 reaches the tally of 50. That means he scored 50 goals in the 2023 calendar year, and as he said on his Instagram afterwards, there's still room for a few more. Now, why this is noteworthy is not only the fact that Ronaldo is pretty much in the twilight of his career, but still operating at a very high level, even if it's in a league of Saudi Arabia, which, truth be told, he's probably too good for. But the fact of the matter is, this is now the 8th time in his career that he has netted 50 goals in a single calendar year. That is phenomenal, no matter which way you look at it. Another interesting bit of news, really, in terms of, and this time we're switching focus to tennis, but you're talking about exhibition matches between Ronaldo and a Messi. You're going to be getting an exhibition match in tennis that will be pitting the past against the future. And why am I saying that? It is because Rafael Nadal will be taking on Carlos Alcaraz. You heard that right. The mentor will meet the mentee. The person, the king, the current king, will be going up against the prince, the person who many see as the person who will be next in line to replace Nadal. And that's pretty interesting. The best part is, if you want to watch that match, exhibition match, you should be able to, because it's going to be streamed live on Netflix. You heard that right. Netflix will be the one streaming that particular match. Don't forget, Nadal, a 22-time Grand Slam champion, Alcaraz, a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Should be a fun match. It's not a match that will have ATP ranking points attached to it. It's only an exhibition, but should be a very interesting match regardless, and might also potentially help Netflix crack into the live sport arena. Again, a lot of these streaming services now are trying to crack live sport, try and ensure that they get their hands on live sport, because again, it just offers you far more viewership, far more viewing concurrence. We've seen that with the IPL and Geo Cinema. So Netflix now choosing, of course, after launching a rather successful tennis docu-series, to get into the live tennis business. Who knows, we might eventually see a Grand Slam there too. We don't really know if that'll be the case, but no harm speculating. We'll end this morning wrap with a couple of news that are India-centric. Now, 2 days after the Wrestling Federation of India elections were announced, both Bajrang Punia and Sakshi Malik, both of whom, remember, are Olympic medalists, wrestlers, they met the Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur at his home and requested him to stop any close aid of former Federation President Brijbhushan Sharan Singh from contesting. Now, in case you're wondering why that's the case, it's because that is pretty much the basis of their entire fight, of all those protests, of everything that followed since. The main reason was they wanted Brijbhushan Sharan out of power, and it would make no sense to have Brijbhushan out of power, but to have one of his people actually put in charge of the federation, which totally does make sense. And sports fan, you're talking about, he drops an interesting comment saying that, in fact, I'll not read the comment because that is in fact the last news update that I have for you guys. The Indian men's junior hockey team are into the semi-finals of the Men's Junior Hockey World Cup because they beat the Netherlands 4-3 in what was an absolute thriller of a hockey game. Seriously, go ahead, check out the highlights of that match for yourself. Crazy and crazy good in the best way possible, especially if you're an Indian fan, because the boys are into the semi-finals of the Junior Men's Hockey World Cup. You would hope that that would be enough for them to bring it home. they're only 2 matches away from getting that World Cup home. So this one should be pretty interesting. Sai is mentioning Odisha FC. Sai, we did a video on that separately. It's up there on the channel. You can go ahead and check it out. I had done it last evening when the news had come through that they had made it through to the AFC Cup semi-finals. And that's it from us in this edition of the Morning Round. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to show us your love by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Also tap that bell icon. You'll know when we go live or upload a new video. Go ahead, also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Download the AajTak app or check out the website in English or Hindi, language of your choice. And of course, if you're already on the channel, you can go ahead, check out some other videos we've been posting since yesterday, and stay tuned. We've got plenty more coming your way. For now though, from my side, it is goodbye.